The fashion world has finally had enough of Meghan Markle and the gloves are officially off. For years, rumors have swirled through the industry about the Duchess of Sussex's questionable behavior when it comes to designer pieces. But now, these whispers have escalated into full-blown accusations that can no longer be ignored. We're talking about a pattern of alleged theft that spans continents, photo shoots, and royal tours, all culminating in one emerald green dress that's become the smoking gun in what could be the most audacious case of celebrity kleptomania we've ever seen. Imagine Meghan Markle on your screen, glowing in her Netflix holiday special promo, draped in a stunning $1,695 Galvin USA Emerald one-shoulder gown. Gorgeous, right? Except there's just one tiny problem. According to multiple sources, that dress wasn't hers to keep. Fashion insiders are now claiming that the very same gown Meghan proudly wore to promote her latest Netflix venture is the exact piece she allegedly walked off with from a Variety magazine photo shoot back in October 2022, and she didn't just borrow it for a day or two, no. Sources claim she kept it for a full 3 years before brazenly wearing it again on camera, as if daring anyone to call her out. But the allegations don't stop there, and frankly, they're just getting started. This isn't a one-off incident of a celebrity forgetting to return a loaner dress. Industry insiders are painting a picture of someone who operates by her own rules. Someone who apparently believes that once designer pieces touch her body, they belong to her by divine right. We're talking about shoes, jewelry, couture gowns worth tens of thousands of dollars, and accessories meant to circulate within the fashion world but instead allegedly ended up in Meghan's Montecito mansion, never to be seen again until she decides to flaunt them. What makes this situation especially explosive is the sheer audacity of it all. If these allegations are true and multiple sources from different shoots and events are backing them, then Meghan hasn't simply been quietly keeping these items. She's been wearing them publicly on red carpets, at royal events, and in Netflix promotions, essentially broadcasting her alleged theft to the world. It's one thing to accidentally forget to return something. It's entirely another to parade around in stolen designer pieces as if they're trophies. The timing couldn't be worse for Meghan. Just as she's desperately trying to rebuild her brand, forge new celebrity friendships, and make her American Riviera lifestyle venture work, the fashion industry is exposing what they call her notoriously slow return habits. But let's be clear here, when something doesn't come back for 3 years, it's not a matter of slow returns anymore. It's something else entirely. And the fashion world is demanding answers. Is this conversation helpful so far? Let's rewind to October 2022. Meghan Markle sat down for what was supposed to be a triumphant Variety magazine cover shoot. It was her moment, her big, glossy comeback, complete with that stunning emerald Galvin USA one-shoulder gown, which photographers couldn't stop shooting. The dress fit her perfectly, the lighting was flawless, and Meghan left the shoot looking like $1,000,000. But there was a problem. She allegedly walked away with much more than just great photos. Behind the scenes, things weren't adding up. Fashion journalist Vanessa dropped a bombshell during a March 2024 appearance on Andrew Gold's Heretics podcast, revealing shocking details that sent ripples through the fashion industry. According to Vanessa, who had spoken with people present at the shoot, Meghan allegedly didn't return a lot of the items after the Variety photo session. It wasn't just the dress, but several pieces that were supposed to be carefully packed up and sent back to their respective designers once the cameras stopped rolling. Here's how these high-profile photo shoots are supposed to work, and this is key to understanding just how brazen this alleged behavior really is. When a celebrity sits for a major magazine spread, stylists bring in racks upon racks of options. We're talking about 20 pairs of shoes, 10 handbags from various designers, jewelry worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and multiple dress options hanging on portable racks. Everything is meticulously cataloged because none of it belongs to the person being photographed. It's all on loan. At the end of the shoot, each item is returned to the designers who trusted the production with their valuable merchandise. But according to sources who were there that day, when it came time to pack everything up after Meghan's Variety shoot, things started going missing. Staff members allegedly noticed that certain items photographed on Meghan were nowhere to be found. The assumption at the time was that maybe there was some behind-the-scenes negotiation happening, that perhaps Meghan's team was working out a purchase or gifted arrangement with the designers. That's not uncommon, as celebrities often fall in love with pieces and either buy them or work out deals to keep them. Except those deals never happened. The designers never got paid, and according to industry insiders, they never gave Meghan permission to keep those items. Fast forward to 2025, and that emerald Galvin USA gown shows up again. This time, Meghan wears it in a Netflix holiday special promo. looking just as stunning as it did 3 years earlier. Fashion publications began comparing photos and confirmed that it was the exact same dress, right down to the one-shoulder design and the way it draped. The evidence was quite literally hanging on Meghan's body for the world to see. The Variety dress scandal would be shocking enough on its own. But here's where things get absolutely wild. This isn't Meghan's first alleged incident of walking off with designer pieces that weren't hers. In fact, the pattern stretches back much further than anyone initially realized, back to 2017, when she was still just Prince Harry's girlfriend, and the world was falling in love with their fairy tale romance. Behind the scenes, however, sources claimed that trouble was already brewing on photo shoot sets. Royal biographer Tom Bower revealed this explosive detail in his book Revenge. During a 2017 Reman's photo shoot, long before Meghan became the Duchess of Sussex, staffers allegedly noticed something peculiar at the end of the day. A pair of Aquazzura Matilda gold crisscross heels worth a cool $845 had mysteriously vanished. These weren't just any shoes. We're talking about luxury designer footwear that was meant to be photographed, admired, and then packed up to be sent back to the brand. But according to multiple sources present at the shoot, including possibly the photographer and production staff, those heels never made it back into the return shipment. The crew allegedly searched everywhere, checked and rechecked the inventory, but the Aquazzura shoes had simply vanished into thin air. Or more accurately, they'd allegedly vanished onto Meghan Markle's feet and into her personal collection. Here's where the story takes an even more brazen turn. Those exact same shoes, the ones that supposedly went missing from a photo shoot in 2017, started showing up on Meghan's feet at high-profile public events. Royal watchers and fashion enthusiasts believe they spotted the distinctive gold crisscross Aquazzura heels during the engagement period, possibly even at the engagement interview where Meghan wore that now infamous white coat. If you look at photos from that time, you can see her wearing what appear to be those very same Aquazzura shoes, the ones that were never supposed to leave the photo shoot in the first place. But wait, there's more. Another pair of Aquazzura shoes, the sexy thing nude suede heels, also allegedly disappeared from that same 2017 photo shoot. Two pairs of designer shoes from one shoot, both vanishing without explanation. Both later photographed on Meghan's feet at various events over the following years. When royal fashion bloggers started doing deep dives and comparing photos, they found evidence of Meghan wearing those Aquazzura shoes multiple times in the years that followed, as if they'd always been part of her personal wardrobe. The audacity of not just keeping allegedly stolen designer shoes but then wearing them repeatedly at public events where photographers would document every detail of her outfit is staggering. It's almost as if she wanted people to see them, like she was daring anyone to connect the dots. Once Meghan officially became the Duchess of Sussex, you'd think the alleged sticky fingers problem would have stopped. After all, she'd married into one of the wealthiest families on the planet, had access to royal jewels worth millions, and could presumably afford to buy whatever she wanted. But according to insiders, that's not how things played out. Instead, the pattern allegedly continued, and if anything, it got more expensive and more audacious. Let's talk about the New Zealand tour in 2018 when Meghan was still in her honeymoon phase with the British public, and the media couldn't get enough of her. She stunned everyone in a dramatic Givenchy black cape dress that looked absolutely incredible on her. The photos went viral, fashion magazines couldn't stop gushing about it, and Meghan looked every inch the modern royal. But here's the thing, tabloid whispers at the time suggested that the Givenchy dress was a loaner, one that was supposed to be returned after the tour concluded. Those whispers also suggested that the dress never actually made it back to Givenchy, that it somehow disappeared into Meghan's personal wardrobe instead. Now, these whispers were never officially confirmed, and Givenchy never made a public statement about it, which is telling in itself. Fashion houses are notoriously protective of their pieces, especially couture items loaned out for major events. The fact that there were even rumors about a missing Givenchy dress speaks volumes about what people in the industry were quietly saying behind closed doors. But if you think that's shocking, buckle up. We need to talk about the Ralph and Russo couture gown from the official engagement portraits. This wasn't just any dress. We're talking about a $75,000 masterpiece of couture, the kind of gown that costs more than most people's cars. It was allegedly loaned to Meghan for those iconic engagement photos, the ones that captured the magic of Harry and Meghan's love story. Sources claim that, like so many other pieces before it, this $75,000 gown was allegedly never returned to Ralph and Russo. Then there's the jewelry situation from the 2018 and 2019 royal tours. And this is where things get really interesting. Multiple pieces from Burke's jewelry were allegedly loaned to Meghan for various tour appearances. the kind of loan arrangements that are standard practice in the fashion and jewelry industry. Celebrities borrow pieces all the time for events, wear them for photos, and then return them within days or weeks at most. But according to sources, several of these jewelry pieces from Birks were allegedly forgotten to be returned. Forgotten, that's the word that kept coming up. Not stolen, not kept intentionally, just conveniently forgotten about until everyone stopped asking for them back. The pattern is unmistakable: designer shoes from photo shoots, couture gowns worth tens of thousands of dollars, jewelry from royal tours, all allegedly kept, all allegedly unreturned, all somehow ending up in Meghan's possession. The fashion industry has officially reached its breaking point with Meghan Markle, and they're not staying quiet anymore. Radar Online just dropped a massive expose that pulls back the curtain on what designers and stylists have been dealing with for years. And let me tell you, they are not holding back, according to their reporting, which cites multiple fashion insiders who are finally willing to speak up. Meghan's reputation in the industry is absolutely in the gutter. And it's not just about pieces going missing anymore. It's about a pattern of behavior that has fashion houses quietly fuming and scrambling to protect themselves. One top stylist laid it out plain and simple: she's not stealing, this insider insists. But then comes the massive qualifier: Meghan doesn't follow the normal return rules. She keeps pieces far longer than any A-lister ever would. Think about what that means for a second. In an industry where timing is everything, where runway samples and editorial pieces need to rotate constantly between magazines, red carpets, and celebrity clients, Meghan Markle allegedly operates on her own timeline. Items sent to Montecito routinely come back a week or too late, forcing staff at high-end showrooms to scramble when other celebrities request the same pieces. A fashion PR source tried to put a diplomatic spin on it, saying Meghan is lovely and gracious, but then dropped the real truth bomb: she definitely operates on Meghan time. This source revealed the fashion world does not, and that's the crux of the problem. The fashion industry runs on strict schedules and carefully coordinated loan agreements. When a piece is supposed to come back on Tuesday but doesn't show up until 3 Tuesdays later, it creates chaos. Other shoots get delayed, other celebrities can't access the pieces they've requested, and fashion houses lose money on items that are stuck in California, instead of rotating through the publicity circuit. But here's where it gets even more revealing. The situation has become such a massive headache that fashion houses have actually started implementing what insiders are calling Meghan buffer time into their scheduling. Just let that sink in for a moment. Designers are now building extra time into their calendars specifically to account for Meghan's slow returns. Some houses have gone even further, reportedly limiting what they're willing to loan her in the first place, or requiring stricter check-ins to make sure their pieces actually come back. This is unprecedented in the celebrity fashion world. Sure, there are divas who are difficult to work with, and celebrities who sometimes push boundaries, but having an entire industry create special protocols just for one person speaks to a level of frustration that's been building for years. According to these sources, items are supposed to rotate constantly for magazines, red carpets, and other clients. When Meghan holds onto them, everything gets backed up. The entire fashion ecosystem gets disrupted because one woman apparently can't follow the same rules everyone else manages to follow without issue. What makes this entire situation absolutely mind-blowing isn't just the alleged taking of designer pieces. It's what Meghan allegedly does with them afterward. If these accusations are true and multiple sources from different shoots and events are backing them, then Meghan hasn't been quietly hiding these items in the back of her closet like some kind of guilty secret. No, she's been wearing them front and center in Netflix promos, at royal engagements, in photos that get seen by millions around the world. The sheer audacity of that is almost impressive in its boldness. Think about the psychology of this for a second. If you allegedly kept something that wasn't yours, something worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, would you then wear it in a highly publicized Netflix promotional campaign? Would you parade around in allegedly unreturned designer shoes at your royal engagement announcement, where every fashion blogger on the planet would be analyzing your outfit choices? Most people would hide that stuff, terrified of getting caught. But according to these allegations, Meghan does the exact opposite. She wears these pieces like trophies, daring anyone to call her out. And here's the thing that makes fashion insiders absolutely furious. When she wears that emerald Galvin USA gown in her Netflix promo, when she allegedly steps out in those Aquazura heels at royal events, she's essentially giving a giant middle finger to every designer and fashion house that trusted her. She's saying, I took this, I'm keeping this, and I'm going to wear it on camera for the world to see. What are you going to do about it? That level of brazenness is what has people in the industry absolutely seething. But that raises a massive question that everyone's been asking. Why haven't any of these fashion houses pressed charges? Why haven't designers spoken out publicly or taken legal action? We're talking about items worth thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars. If this were anyone else, if this were a regular person walking off with an $845 pair of shoes or a $75,000 couture gown, there would be police reports, lawsuits, criminal charges. So why the silence? Industry insiders suggest a few reasons. First, there's the intimidation factor. Meghan Markle, despite all her controversy, still has a massive platform and millions of supporters who would absolutely go to war for her on social media. Fashion houses are businesses, and they have to think about the potential backlash and negative publicity that could come from publicly accusing her. Second, there's the hope that maybe, just maybe, these items will eventually be returned or paid for. Better to wait it out than create a public scandal that could damage the brand's reputation. But the real answer might be simpler and more depressing. The fashion industry has always operated on relationships and unspoken rules. Making a public fuss about missing items, even expensive ones, is seen as tacky and difficult. It's often better to quietly blacklist someone than to air dirty laundry in public. These fashion theft allegations aren't happening in a vacuum. They're dropping right in the middle of what can only be described as Meghan Markle's desperate attempt to rebuild her crumbling celebrity empire. And the timing could not be worse for her. Just when she's trying to cozy up to Hollywood's elite and salvage her reputation, the fashion industry is exposing her alleged sticky fingers to the world. The fallout is already starting to show in some brutal ways. Let's start with the Kardashian situation, which is absolutely delicious. Meghan has been trying desperately to get in with the Kardashian clan, seeing them as her ticket to the A-list celebrity status she's always craved. But according to multiple sources, the Kardashians want absolutely nothing to do with her. They've allegedly been giving her the cold shoulder, declining invitations, and making it crystal clear that Meghan Markle is not part of their inner circle. Now, with these theft allegations making headlines, you can bet the Kardashians are even more grateful they kept their distance. The last thing they need is to be associated with someone who allegedly can't return borrowed designer items. Then there's the Jeff Bezos flirtation incident that sent the internet into overdrive. Meghan was photographed at a party allegedly giving serious eyes to Jeff Bezos, one of the richest men on the planet. Sources claimed she was trying to woo him, presumably hoping he'd throw some of that Amazon money behind her failing American Riviera orchard brand. The optics were terrible. Here's a married woman allegedly flirting with a married billionaire, and his wife, Lauren Sanchez, was reportedly not amused. Lauren, who's living the exact life Meghan wishes she had, wealthy, glamorous, connected, is not about to let Meghan Markle anywhere near her husband or her circle. But here's where Netflix enters the revenge game, and it's absolutely savage. Remember how Meghan has been desperately trying to make American Riviera Orchard work? She's been promoting it nonstop, talking about finding retail partners, discussing brick-and-mortar opportunities at prestigious events like the Fortune Most Powerful Women's Summit. She positioned Netflix as this ideal partner who would help her build her lifestyle empire. Well, Netflix just told everyone exactly what they think of that partnership. Netflix recently launched Netflix House, their new retail stores that sell merchandise from their hit shows. They're selling Bridgerton products, Squid Game stuff, all sorts of branded merchandise that fans can buy. And guess what's not being sold there? American Riviera Orchard. Not a single jar of Meghan's jam, not one candle, nothing. And here's the really brutal part. Tom Sykes reported that Bridgerton merchandise is being made at the exact same factory that produces Meghan's American Riviera Orchard products. But Netflix chose to sell Bridgerton items and completely exclude Meghan's brand when Meghan's team tried to spin it, claiming that American Riviera Orchard was always meant to be an online-only offering. Tom Sykes immediately called out the lie. He pointed to Meghan's own recent comments about exploring brick-and-mortar partnerships and finding retail opportunities. Just when you think Meghan Markle's drama couldn't get any more revealing, Harper's Bazaar comes along and accidentally exposes exactly who she really is. The magazine recently featured Meghan on their December 2025 January 2026 art issue cover. And what was supposed to be a loving puff piece about her philanthropy and journey as a working mom turned into an unintentional comedy of errors that perfectly illustrates the entitlement and delusion at the heart of all these theft allegations. Here's what happened. The writer who interviewed Meghan was incredibly diplomatic, almost too diplomatic, but she couldn't hide the absurdity of what she witnessed. The piece revealed that even when there were only 2 people in the room, Meghan Markle required a formal announcement. Let me say that again, to people in a room, and someone still had to formally announce Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, is here. The writer described in detail how this happened multiple times during the interview process, including at a brownstone in New York and at an event in Los Angeles where Meghan was speaking to teenage girls about STEM education. At the Los Angeles event, the writer painted this picture of Meghan's arrival, a golf cart swept in, gravel crunching dramatically beneath the wheels. Then, some poor staff member had to formally announce Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, is here for an event with school children. Royal commentators had an absolute field day with this revelation, pointing out the stunning contradiction at the heart of Meghan's entire brand. She styles herself as the anti-royal rebel, the woman who rejected stuffy protocols and wanted to modernize the monarchy. But behind closed doors, she demands treatment that even working royals don't require. Royal author Louise Roberts nailed it when she said this speaks to the contradiction in Meghan's brand. She didn't want to do royal duties, but she still wants the title and the privilege without the workload. And this is exactly the mindset that allegedly leads someone to think designer pieces from photo shoots automatically belong to them. If you believe you deserve a formal announcement when walking into a room with two people, it's not a huge leap to believe that dress you wore for a shoot should just be yours to keep. The Harper's Bazaar piece also featured Meghan talking about how brave she was for selling jam, dropping the word founder countless times like it's some kind of revolutionary achievement. The disconnect from reality is staggering. She's comparing herself to actual entrepreneurs who built businesses from scratch, while she's launching a lifestyle brand backed by Netflix money and royal connections. And even that is failing spectacularly. What really killed royal watchers was how the article became satire without even trying. The writer didn't need to mock Meghan because the facts spoke for themselves. The formal announcements, the dramatic golf cart arrivals, the self-important proclamations about being brave enough to sell overpriced jam, all of it painted a picture of someone so disconnected from normal human behavior that allegedly keeping designer items probably feels completely justified in her mind. Welcome to the desperation era of Meghan Markle, where everything she touches seems to crumble, and the walls are closing in from every direction. These fashion theft allegations aren't just another scandal, they're the latest brick in a wall of failure and rejection that's becoming impossible for even her most devoted supporters to ignore. The National Enquirer in America just ran a cover that says it all. Famous friends cut her off. 23 staffers quit after 4 months, savagely booed in public. Even Harry has had enough, and honestly, when you look at where things stand right now, it's hard to argue with that assessment. Let's talk about the staff exodus first, because this is absolutely damning. 23 people have reportedly quit working for Meghan and Harry in a shockingly short period of time. 23, that's not normal turnover. That's not a few people deciding the job wasn't the right fit. That's a mass exodus of people who apparently couldn't handle working for her. Sources have described Meghan as difficult, demanding, and impossible to please. Former staffers have used words like bullying to describe the work environment. And now, with these theft allegations adding to the pile, you have to wonder what else these staffers witnessed that they're not talking about publicly. The celebrity friendships are collapsing faster than anyone predicted. The Kardashians won't touch her. Oprah has noticeably distanced herself after that explosive interview backfired spectacularly. The Hollywood elite, who Meghan thought would embrace her with open arms, have instead quietly shut their doors. Nobody wants to be associated with the drama, the constant victimhood, the endless PR disasters. And now, with fashion designers allegedly fuming about unreturned items, Meghan's reputation in the industry circles she desperately wants to penetrate is absolutely toxic. Then there's Harry, and this is perhaps the saddest part of the whole situation. The man has been reduced to doing paid speaking gigs, where he's introduced as the chief impact officer at BetterUp and touted as a respected voice on global issues. It's pathetic. This is a prince who once had genuine respect and admiration from millions of people worldwide. And now, he's essentially a corporate spokesperson flying around to conferences and collecting appearance fees. Sources suggest that even Harry is starting to realize what a disaster his life has become, though he seems unwilling or unable to do anything about it. And in perhaps the most telling sign of desperation, Meghan has reportedly turned to a celebrity psychic for guidance. Now, there's nothing wrong with seeking spiritual advice, if that's what you believe in, but the timing here is revealing. Princess Diana genuinely believed in her faith healer, Simone Simmons, from a young age. Meghan suddenly developing an interest in psychics right when everything is falling apart feels less like genuine spirituality and more like someone grasping at straws, trying anything to figure out where it all went wrong. Royal commentators believe Meghan is cosplaying as Diana again, using the psychic connection to manipulate Harry by reminding him of his mother. The desperation is palpable, and these theft allegations are just one more scandal in a growing mountain of evidence that Meghan Markle's Hollywood dreams are dead. So, here we are at the end of this absolutely wild journey through Meghan Markle's alleged designer, the FD scandal, and the question on everyone's mind is simple: what happens next? Will fashion houses finally find the courage to speak up publicly? Will more stories emerge from the shadows now that journalists like Vanessa have opened the floodgates? And perhaps most importantly, what else might be hidden behind the gates of that Montecito mansion that we don't know about yet? The silence from Meghan's team on these allegations is absolutely deafening. When Radar Online reached out for comment, they got nothing: radio silence. And that's telling, because Meghan and Harry have never been shy about clapping back at negative press before. They've sued newspapers, released statements through their spokespeople, and gone on the offensive countless times when stories they didn't like started circulating. But when it comes to these specific theft allegations, suddenly there's nothing to say: no denial, no explanation, no threat of legal action, just silence. That silence speaks volumes to anyone paying attention. If these allegations were completely false, if there was nothing to them, wouldn't you expect Meghan's lawyers to be firing off cease and desist letters? Wouldn't you expect her PR team to be working overtime to discredit the sources and clear her name? The fact that we're hearing cricket suggests that maybe, just maybe, there's more truth to these stories than her supporters want to admit. Fashion insiders are watching this situation very carefully right now. Some are hoping this public exposure will finally force accountability. Others are skeptical that anything will change, believing that Meghan's remaining celebrity status will continue to shield her from consequences. But one thing is certain: designers are going to be a lot more careful about loaning items to her in the future. Those special Meghan buffer times and stricter return policies aren't going away anytime soon. Let's be real about what this scandal represents. In the bigger picture of Meghan's unraveling reputation, the theft allegations, the staff exodus, the failed celebrity friendships, the Netflix snub, the Harper's Bazaar announcement debacle, these aren't isolated incidents. They're all pieces of the same puzzle, all pointing to someone who believes rules don't apply to her. Someone who thinks her title and her fame entitle her to special treatment that she hasn't earned and doesn't deserve. The really fascinating question is, what other stories are still out there waiting to be told? If journalists are now comfortable talking about missing items from photo shoots, what else might come out? How many other designers, stylists, and production staff have their own Meghan Markle horror stories that they've been too afraid to share publicly? This could genuinely be just the beginning of a much bigger reckoning. One thing's for sure, that Montecito mansion probably has one very interesting closet, filled with pieces that were never meant to stay there. And somewhere, fashion houses are keeping very detailed lists of everything that never came home.